Hey, what's going on, everybody? Matt Johnston here. I'm so excited to have you back at the channel. Today, we are going to be talking about how to use targeting with your video ads on Facebook and YouTube to find the perfect person at the perfect time to buy your product or to sell your service to. This is really important because the algorithms are starting to suck now. I made a video a couple days ago about what's working in Facebook ads in 2021, and what's working is the manual tweaking type stuff that we used to do years ago, and what's not working is just sort of letting Facebook figure it out. It just doesn't work anymore. So what I wanted to talk about today is how powerful video can be to target. And I have all sorts of things that I could talk about. I'm not going to get into specific creative content today, and I'm not going to get into specifically how to run these things in Facebook ads. What I'm going to talk about is very simply understanding that the actual messaging, the scripting, and the creative of your videos can be engineered to attract the right people so that you can continue to use large audiences. So people that don't have great creative that are running ads in 2021 are seeing that since iOS 14, everything sort of sucks. And so what they're doing is they're really like trying to growth hack their ad account. So they'll go into the ad set level, they'll do ABO, and listen, I do all these things as well. You'll test audiences like crazy with everything, and you want to pick, and they're picking really small audiences. Now I test everything. I'm a big fan of it, but now that we mostly focus on creative at Guide Social, I'm really focusing on, okay, how can we allow our clients who are running a lot of, they're running a lot of ads, how can we get them to continue to find the right people at the right time and train the algorithm rather than waiting for the algorithm to train itself? And that's where video comes in, because a simple image ad can only do so much. It can't do much selling, right? And you also can't do much messaging. There's not any story there. There's not much you can do with a simple image ad. But with a video, you can actually allow people to self-select. Okay? So let's go over to the whiteboard here, and I'll show you a little bit of what I mean here. Things that you should be largely keeping in mind. Where's my whiteboard? Bum, bum, bum. Okay. So what I'm talking about here is allowing viewers to self-select themselves, and that means calling out your audience. So I don't do this in every single video format. So one of the big things that we do at the company is we create centerpiece videos, which are basically these hero videos that we cut 9 different versions of that you can test against each other. They work in YouTube and Facebook. They're kind of like hero videos. I have another video on that if you want to check it out. It's I think I call it like the $1 million Facebook video. Anyway, you can subscribe to my channel, go to that, and you'll see how I make these videos. But no matter what you do, you're calling out your audience. So with those videos, I'm very often calling out with empathy, which I'll get to in a second. Here, I'm saying you can directly call out your audience. So this is something that you can do in both the copy. You can literally say, hey, fitness entrepreneurs, or something like that, because you need the content to self-select itself. I mean, because you're automatically getting people to say no. There's a lot of power in niche, right? And the algorithm's not going to do the work for you. So you want to call out your audience in the copy, and you can call them out in the video as well. So if it's a text on screen type video, or if it is even a testimonial type video, or a founder video, or whatever it might be, you can call out your audience right at the beginning and say, if you're looking to blah, 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 or if you're a mom who has little kids between 2 and 5, you have got to check this out because it will change blah, 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 blah in your life. Calling out your audience is like an immediate, like slicing triage. And once Facebook starts seeing who's clicking, viewing, and converting from that video, it starts training that campaign, learning in that ad set to be able to find the right people. The second thing you can do, which is a little bit more nuanced, as I mentioned before, is suck in your ideal audience with empathy. Suck in ideal audience with empathy. So this is my favorite way to do it. It is nuanced, takes a little bit of writing, but this is basically, all of business and all of marketing is problem solution, right? There is a problem that exists in the market, and my company, my product is there to solve that problem. So all of our messaging is problem solution messaging, and then everything else is trickled on top of that. So we have empathy with the problem, and then we have future pacing with the solution, which is just a sales term, meaning basically helping people step into what it might feel like to be that person that's achieved that. Okay? So sucking in the ideal audience with empathy is where you're really putting the problem up front, right? So you might say, I never, let's say it's for somebody that get holes in their socks, and that's the problem all the time, and they're sick of it. They might be like, I never thought I'd be able to buy a sock that wouldn't get holes in it, right? So maybe that's the opening line. And so what you're doing there is you're calling out that audience. If you're somebody that cares about that, great. So you're going to be continuing to watch that video. You might click. You're putting that problem right up front. If you're somebody that doesn't see that as a problem, you're going to triage yourself out. Now, of course, if you want to make sure that you can convert certain people and you don't want to triage those people out, you have to be very clear about what sort of empathy you want to go for here. But sucking in your ideal audience with empathy is really important. And what that means is you see on screen, on camera, a person who basically is like you. I say it a lot in my book, Producing Empathy. People want to see themselves. They want to see a mirror in the content that they see. And in their ads, the mirrors are what they will click on. Mirrors are what they will buy, right? That's why UGC is so popular, but totally overrated and overblown, right? It's just because, oh, I see real people doing that. But we can engineer this. This is marketing. This is advertising. This is how it works. So what we can do is put the problem right up front and say, and basically put an emotion statement, an emotional empathy statement right at the beginning. I never thought X feeling would go away, or I never thought X problem, which caused me X pain, would lead to Z, right? So sucking in your ideal audience with empathy is extremely important. The next is really attraction, mise-en-scene. And that's a really fancy film and theater term, which basically just means that, I don't want to say aesthetics, but sort of like what the look and feel of the video is immediately is appealing to your target customer. Make sure you do the avatar work, by the way. You always have to know what makes people tick. You can do the persona exercise. I've got a YouTube video on the channel on that if you subscribe. So you go through that process, you know who this person is. Like, you can close your eyes and see this person sitting across from you. You're like, I know who this person is. I know what they care about. I know what they feel, how that works. And so you can actually attract that person with mise-en-scene. And this is empathy as well, in a way, because I mean, there's really two ways about it, right? There's empathy and there's basically aspiration, right? And a lot of people go for aspiration, but I actually think that empathy is much more powerful. Like, a lot of brands go for aspiration almost too much. And so I end up with these sort of like Instagram. I'm like not a really big fan of Instagram these days, I'll tell you, because I just think Instagram is getting so damn fake. It's just driving me crazy. Like, I'm so sick of seeing these posed, not posed. What are they called? Planned selfies. What are they called? I forget what they're called. But they're just, it's just so like this is not what these people are like in real life. You know, the putting forth this ideal version of you. And we don't want to do that in videos necessarily either. Yeah, I do want to aspire to be something. And there's something to be said to follow influencers and wanting to be something specific. And then, you know, having all these followers together. Like, everybody's a follower. They're just just trying to find a leader. So please, I want to aspire to be like you. But empathy can be so much more powerful. I mean, think about the people that you really like in your real life. Are they people who seem above you? Or are they people who seem that they're on the equal level with you? Like, you're mutual, you're in this together, it's a two-way street. Isn't the two-way street really how most of your friendships and relationships are? And if they're not like that, aren't you unhappy with that? Don't you kind of want that to change? I know that I definitely feel that way. And it's important. So why don't we put that out there? So where does your target customer sit? What is their life like? What kind of things do they do? Right? Are they in a garden? Like, should we shoot it in a garden? Are they in the kitchen a lot? Should we shoot it in a kitchen? What is that kitchen like? Is it like a little bit run down, or is it like one of these like super rich kitchens? Right? Don't get sucked in to the trap of doing only aspirational marketing and advertising, because it's not good for it's not good for the world. Right? Because it just makes us feel like everything is fake and we don't know what's real and what's not, and that's kind of already happening. So anything that we can do to help pitch in for that, the better. And also, I really don't think that it's aspiration that necessarily gets people there. Now, one of the cool things, though, is, and this is really the last point, which is reflect the journey. And one of the great things about the journey, and why video is so much more powerful than an image, is it can take you on this arc from before to after, before state to after state, to use like fancy marketing chatter. Because you start with that empathy place. And it's always empathy, because you don't want to necessarily feel like this person's entirely changed their personality and they're not themselves anymore at the end of it when they get to this after state, right? But what it does do is it allows us to see ourselves in that person, identify with that problem, be along for the ride, and then what it lets us do is it helps us see what it could be like to become the idealized version of that with that little problem, right? So it's so much better than just doing aspirational marketing. Look at me in front of my like big house and Corvette and all this crap. Instead of that, why don't we take people on this journey, mise-en-scene wise, and don't show them where they want to be at the beginning, show them where they are, and then let us pull them in with empathy, and then we tell the story of how we solve this problem. Do you have this problem too? Well, let me show you what happened. Let me show you my discovery that helped me get from A to B, right? And sometimes you might say, oh, well, what if I'm a B2B person trying to convince people that they can be millionaires and go from $500 a month to $1 million a month? Okay, still empathy, right? It still doesn't mean you need to put yourself in a mansion, because nobody can identify with a mansion. And it's not really super aspirational either, is it? Because people don't necessarily believe that they can do that. They might be like excited by it, but they don't necessarily believe it. And if they don't actually believe that they can do it, they won't do the work to get there, because we all know it takes a lot of work to make $1 million a month. So you need to use empathy first and reflect the journey. Use the journey to get people to that after state. It's a discovery. It's always a self-discovery. I'll go back to the whiteboard here so that you can see this. This journey of self-discovery, this is just the journey that we all take in life, right? We have something that's going on before, and it's a specific problem, and this is just the story arc, right? You have some sort of like inciting incident here, and then you have the climax where it's just like enough is enough, and then you have this discovery. And then things finally changed, and that led you to your after state, and that is where the amazing things started to happen in your life. So really what I want you to do to be able to self-target your ads, to train the algorithm to find your perfect customer, is show your perfect customer themselves on screen, reflect where they are now, and help them see what that journey is to get from problem that causes me negative emotions to solution that causes me positive emotions, because that's what we want. It's the yin and the yang. It's you got to play the black keys with the white keys. The minor key, the minor chord always demands the major chord. We demand to seek resolution, right? And that natural hard-born psychology that's in all of us really is what makes it so that we can basically see that we could make that transformation too, and so we will buy. Okay. Thank you so much. If you got value from this, I would love to have you as a subscriber. That would be amazing. I try to do a lot of live videos here, and I try to just generally provide value whenever, honestly, whenever it just pops in my mind. I just do it. So I hope you're well, and I will see you soon. Have an amazing day.